Part 35. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 341. Stop, Alchemist AI is on the opposite side. This is the tutor application site. The staff's voice soon attracted the attention of countless alchemists who came to sign up. Xiao Xian said indifferently, "I'm here to apply." As soon as this statement came out, the staff members were filled with disbelief, obviously not believing that he had this ability. Xiao Xian originally went directly to the alchemist competition. But change your mind before coming. He came to the glacier continent to find the totem of time and space and head to the prehistoric world. The three major families of glacier continent all came from the Northern Territory secret realm, and the time and space totems are also in the Northern Territory secret realm. Even an auction can mine the Nuwa stone belonging to the prehistoric period, as well as the heaven-reaching divine fire pillar. This proves that the snow in the northern region may be a product of the prehistoric period that has survived to this day. Since the Ye family came from the secret realm of the Northern Territory, there are more or less records from the prehistoric period in his family. Alchemists are extremely rare in this place, so it's better to compete with those people for a spot. It is better to directly become the person in charge of determining their future. The main purpose of his trip was to understand what happened during the prehistoric period, and this was an excellent opportunity for him. Even though the staff looked surprised, they still had not processed the application materials. Regardless of whether the person in front of him is an alchemist or not, he cannot interfere. The people inside will naturally solve it. At this moment, a sarcastic voice came from behind. "Hey, who do I think he is? He turns out to be our Messiah Savior. No wonder he looks so familiar." As soon as these words came out, everyone turned to look. I saw a man in rich clothes walking through the door, with a pair of hanging eyes on his sharp face. Two black holes were raised high under his hooked nose, and an evil smile appeared on his sausage-like lips. The hanging eyes flashed with a disgusting light, and a jade pendant with leaves written on it was worn around the waist. It is not difficult to see that his face is somewhat similar to Yehao. This person is Yehao's son Yanning. Yanning slowly walked towards Xiao Xian, his eyes filled with a hint of disgust. As early as when Xiao Xian entered the hall, he had already noticed it. Recalling Yeshu's alienation from him because of Xiao Xian's arrival, and the deep admiration in her eyes when she looked at Xiao Xian, it all made Yanning hold a grudge against Xiao Xian. If his father hadn't told him not to do anything to him, he would have died countless times. At this moment, when I saw Xiao Xian coming to apply for a tutor, I naturally wanted to punish him. A mortal without spiritual power fluctuation dares to compete with this young master for a woman. It's really unbelievable. Xiao Xian had no impression of this person, but since the other party came to him, he must be looking for trouble, and he couldn't just invite him to tea. Yanning stood arrogantly in front of Xiao Xian, with a look of superiority on his face. In his eyes, Xiao Xian was just a low-status outsider who could not be compared with him at all. "Xiao Xian, right? I heard that you didn't have any spiritual power, but you were able to save Sister Yeshu. It's really a good trick." Yanning's words made the onlookers grasp an unusual meaning. Xiao Xian raised his eyebrows. "Is it possible that you also have such ability?" As soon as these words came out, Yanning's face darkened instantly. But he quickly sneered, "I really don't have the skills like you to coax Sister Yeshu to do anything for you." Hearing this, everyone showed an intriguing expression on their faces. Xiao Xian raised his eyebrows, feeling ridiculous about him. Seeing that Xiao Xian didn't refute, Yanning's expression became even more proud. "Xiao Xian, I advise you to be a down-to-earth person. Not everyone is as easy to trick as Yeshu, and not everyone is like our Ye family, who opens the back door." As soon as this statement came out, everyone present still didn't understand. It turns out that the person in front of me came in through the back door through nepotism. A flurry of discussions continued to come from all around. I just said that this person is not simple. It turns out that he relies on his face to make a living. Hey, relying on your reputation to make a living is also a skill. Unlike us, who work so hard, we may not be able to choose. At this moment, an old man came in at the door. When everyone saw his appearance, their eyes widened in shock. Young master, yes, words are absolutely true. Not only is he a rare alchemy genius in the Ye family for hundreds of years, he also has spiritual roots with 2 attributes. What? Spiritual roots with 2 attributes. When everyone heard these words, a sense of pride arose in their hearts. How could Yanning, who was behind him, give up and directly block Xiao Xian's path? As soon as these words came out, countless people were shocked by Yanning's talent, and they admired him extremely in their hearts. I advise you to quit on your own to avoid embarrassment. An alchemist relies on his true ability, not his unattainable ability. At this moment, Xiao Xian was also a little impatient, and then looked at him indifferently. I'm here today because I'm afraid I'm applying for a job for my mentor. Even if I don't succeed, I'll look at my grades and become my mentor's disciple. This move completely made Yanning furious. Therefore, he looked at Yanning indifferently. There is a saying that you should learn to live in a low profile and do things in a high profile. As soon as these words came out, Yanning flew into a rage. Then he turned around and followed the staff's guidance to go in. Xiao Xian, I think you are determined not to die until the Yellow River. In that case, I will let you see the gap between you and me. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked and speechless. Xiao Xian seemed to have ignored these words. He had already experienced countless lives and deaths. It's not like other people, who can get everything by showing off their skills in bed. A cold voice slowly came, add one more, and the loser will destroy his own elixir and never touch any elixir again. His eyes showed deep hatred. You can't afford it, right? Or, you really rely on women to get to your position. At the age of 14, he was awarded the title of 3rd-grade alchemist. Now 10 years later, he is already a 5th-grade alchemist. Yanning, young master of the Ye family, was born with a fireworks spirit body, and then received a Liuyuan battle body at the age of 10. How can you get angry because of a few slanderous words from others? When Yanning heard these words, her vanity was greatly satisfied, and she looked at Xiao Xian proudly. Xiao Xian's move was just to make him retreat. Humph, you are just digging your own grave. In that case, I will help you. Okay. I promise you. Then he accepted it with confidence. Those who came here are outstanding alchemists from all over the world. Whether it is his talent for cultivation or his ability to perceive the refining of elixirs, he is among the best in his class. As soon as he said this, Xiao Xian looked at him calmly, obviously not taking him seriously. Xiao Xian raised his eyebrows and looked at him. Just you? No. Even Yanning was taken aback, but quickly recovered. With such a comparison, the look he looked at Xiao Xian became even more contemptuous. A sense of shame as a man's dignity was provoked instantly hit his heart. The crowd instantly exploded. At this time, someone in the crowd suddenly spoke. He was so angry that he pointed at Xiao Xian. Let's make a bet. If you apply for the alchemy master job this time, the person who is not selected will get out of the alchemy house. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 342. An old man dressed in rags and with messy hair, who looked like he hadn't taken a bath in hundreds of years, appeared in front of everyone. This is Pharmacist Wang. Why is he here? He is an elixir fanatic who stays in the elixir house all year round. It is not an exaggeration to say he is crazy. In previous years, when applying for tutors, even if the head of the family came to invite them in person, it would not help. Not only that, he is the best alchemist in the entire glacier continent. There are so many people who want to be his disciples, but there is no way. Why are you here today? Looking at it like this, it seems that he is looking for Yanning. Master Yanning is a rare alchemy genius that can only be seen in a century. Pharmacist Wang may want to take him as his apprentice. This is something that many people dream of. Yanning completely lost herself in the admiration. Subconsciously, he straightened his clothes and walked towards Pharmacist Wang with a smile on his face. Hello, Pharmacist Wang, I am Yanning, Ye Jun's nephew. Nice to meet you. However, Pharmacist Wang nodded indifferently to him, without even looking at him. He walked straight to Xiaoxian and looked at him with a smile on his face. If I had known you were here, I wouldn't have gone over there to look for you. It would have cost me so much time. It was like meeting one's elders. This scene can be described as a scene that shocked countless people. Even Yanning was petrified on the spot and couldn't figure out why Medicine Master Wang would go looking for that kid Xiaoxian if he wasn't looking for him. So he took a step forward and looked at Pharmacist Wang with a smile on his face. His expression was full of flattery. Physician Wang, I am Yanning. You have mistaken the wrong person. He felt that Pharmacist Wang must have made a mistake. After all, he was an old man and had some presbyopia. What's more, Pharmacist Wang is still a human being who has lived for nearly 1,000 years, so this kind of problem is even more likely to occur. Pharmacist Wang looked at him with disgust. Is something wrong? Now Yanning began to wonder if Pharmacist Wang was blind. Otherwise, why would he leave such a genius alone and turn to caring about Xiaoxian? Therefore, he directly identified his identity. Pharmacist Wang, aren't you recruiting people? I, Yanning, an alchemy genius who is rare to see in a century, am right in front of you. Pharmacist Wang frowned, obviously disgusted with Yanning's rudeness. Yanning? Yeah, how, son? Why, your father is rude and you are also rude. It's true that I'm looking for someone, but I'm not looking for you. Or do you think I'm too old to recognize the wrong person? When he said the last sentence, Medicine Master Wang exuded a strong anger. Yanning nodded subconsciously. You are not old-sighted, but you have a sharp eye, but it is inevitable that you will make mistakes sometimes. However, Pharmacist Wang ignored him at all and looked at Xiaoxian with a smile on his face. Let's go, let me take you to visit the environment here. Let me tell you, this place can definitely constitute the kind of violence that Husu wishes you. As soon as these words came out, everyone was confused. Even Yanning was dumbfounded. This Xiaoxian's love is for men, women, old, and young. He can even eat a 1,000-year-old iron tree like Medicine Master Wang. And the fun was so exciting, and he actually dared to do such a perfunctory thing in Daineo Mansion. For a time, everyone present had different opinions, and their attitude towards Xiaoxian became even worse. Bah! He is indeed a man who does some sexual things. Even Pharmacist Wang, who has always been impartial, was deceived by his appearance. It is simply a disgrace to men. Humph, looking at it like this, Pharmacist Wang will definitely help Xiaoxian enter the pill mansion and accept him as his apprentice. Young Master Ye must drive him out of the Daineo Mansion, otherwise it will definitely tarnish the reputation of the Daineo Mansion. For a time, countless people shouted for Yanning to win against Xiaoxian. However, Xiaoxian, who had already entered the hall, was already pestered by Pharmacist Wang to help him solve his doubts. Uncle Master, tell me quickly what kind of catalyst is needed for mercury grass and poisonous insect eggs to extract the elixir. Xiaoxian sat aside with his forehead covered in black lines. How could this guy be so familiar? He could speak like a master uncle. If you really want to go according to seniority, it would not be an exaggeration for Wang Yaoshi to call him ancestor. 1,000-footed beast essence and blood. Thousand-legged beasts are fire attribute monsters, which are used to neutralize the flame power of real fire. Pharmacist Wang suddenly realized what happened after Xiao Xian helped him point out the problem last time. After 77 and 49 hours, he finally refined a pill with only 1/10 of the impurities. But the toxins inside could not be completely removed, but he did not ask Xiao Xian. Because he felt that it was impossible for an elixir to be free of any toxins, and there was no doubt that such an elixir did not exist in this world. The moment Xiao Xiangang got the jade slip, his face turned dark instantly. The assessment time is 1.5 hours in total, and you can appear early. While Yanning was deep in thought, everyone laughed and laughed. But he corrected his mistake. Half an hour later, Xiao Xian handed over his encounter to pharmacist Wang. The second round is an open refining of elixirs, truly a selection without any moisture. Yanning's heart skipped a beat after hearing the name. I didn't expect that he was still alive and even achieved such a high level of achievement. This second place is really good. I have never heard of his name, so I didn't expect him to be a blockbuster. Soon the first application process began. Amidst everyone's discussion, the second list also came out. Everyone ran to the public platform to watch. Since the alchemist instructor is selected, the requirements for the alchemist are extremely high. Are the requirements for alchemists so relaxed now? Everyone was even more horrified when they heard this. Not only theoretical knowledge is required, but also practical application. Third place, Yanning. As soon as the statement came out, everyone looked at Xiao Xian knowingly. It's no wonder that there are not many alchemists in the world. With such knowledge, 1 out of 10 is considered a genius. The young master of the Ye family is indeed a once-in-a-century alchemy genius. I couldn't even answer 1/3 of today's assessment questions. Ye Hong, a concubine of the Ye family, came in second place. The following big questions are something I have never seen before. The young master of the Ye family can be ranked third, which is already extraordinary. This is divided into 2 rounds. The first round is a written test, which mainly tests the knowledge and ability of alchemy medicine. Looking up, there was no Xiao Xian's name. Even Master Yanning can only get such a ranking, let alone Xiao Xian. I'm afraid he won't be able to solve a single question. Did he encounter some kind of opportunity last time? Even the most difficult elixir questions at the end are all at the elementary school level. As expected, the guy started dancing again. Elder Ye said righteously. But after thinking about it, Xiao Xian still picked up the pen and wrote on the jade slip. You all already know the detailed rules. The next step is the formal assessment of the application. I hope some people will rely on their true strength. Okay, now I announce the list of top 10 this time. There is actually someone more powerful than Yanning. The results came out soon. After hearing this, everyone praised Yanning's talent. If it weren't for the identity of entering the secret realm of the Northern Territory, the identity of an alchemist, he wouldn't have wanted it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 343. Yanning was overjoyed. He knew that Xiao Xian was just a guy wearing embroidered shoes and could not get on the stage at all. Therefore, under the eyes of everyone with great admiration, he walked towards Xiao Xian. The pride on his face was unabashedly revealed, and it was obvious that Xiao Xian was already a defeated person in his eyes. Xiao Xian, don't you think you're digging your own grave? You know you're not strong enough, but you still have to overestimate your ability to compete with me. The sarcasm and contempt in his words are revealed with unabashed sincerity. Even his body was standing straight at this moment, as if he was a winner. After seeing this scene, everyone looked at Xiao Xian with deep contempt. Even Master Yanning can only get third place, let alone Xiaoxian. There is no shame in losing to Master Yanning. It is your honor. Hey, boy, this is what you call being a low-key person and doing things in a high-key manner. It really suits the occasion. People, you still have to do what you can, otherwise it will be a small shame, but a big shame. But having said that, the list of first place has not been announced yet, and I don't know what kind of master can get the first place. Someone in the crowd made a comment, which instantly attracted the attention of countless people. Even Yanning looked at the formula table with great curiosity, looking forward to the announcement of the first place. First place, Xiaoxian. As soon as these words came out, not only everyone present, but also the expressions of the elders who announced the list changed. It was obviously forced by someone, and everyone could guess it with their toes. Who else could it be but pharmacist Wang? When Xiaoxian came to receive the list, the elder's eyes were full of anger and he wanted to cut him into pieces. Although he didn't know what method he used, Wang Ruo was extremely optimistic about his corrections. They are obviously ordinary medicinal materials, but they can be used to refine top-quality elixirs without any side effects. How can it be? Even for the last big question, he could say that it was unsolvable because of the incomplete prescription. He even waved a few big characters eloquently: 3 petals of the 1,000-year-old snow lotus, 1 drop of the essence and blood of the 1,000-year-old thousand-legged beast, 100-year-old Ganoderma lucidum grass. Add it to the alchemy furnace in 3 times, with an interval of 77 and 49 hours each time, and it will take 99 and 81 hours to complete. They have never heard of such a prescription. How is this possible? Pharmacist Wang is old and confused, and is easily bewitched by him. But these people are not stupid. Xiaoxian was able to muddle through the competition. Even if he had great abilities at the alchemy site, he would not be able to do anything under the eyes of everyone. What's more, the head of the family will also be on site to supervise. He wants to see what Xiaoxian is capable of. Everyone present was extremely shocked. Xiaoxian was actually the first place. How can it be? How could this happen? Yanning looked at Xiaoxian's name on the formula table with a look of astonishment. There must be something wrong. He even wanted to go to pharmacist Wang to argue. At this moment, Elder Ye came forward to speak. The expression on his face was extremely serious, and even his brows were frowned. He glanced lightly at everyone present, and then said, "Today's written test for elixir tutor application is more difficult than in previous years. As we all know, the secret realm of the Northern Territory is about to be opened. In order to prevent interested people from joining, the Alchemy Mansion has specially made the written test much more difficult, so alchemists who did not make the list should not be depressed, as they can still participate next year. The Ye family's Pill Palace has always been open to all alchemists. As long as you rely on your true strength, you will definitely be recognized by the Pill Palace." After a pause, he continued, "But it cannot be ruled out that a few people got through by using unusual means. Even if there is no evidence to prove it, I believe that paper cannot cover up the fire, and there will always be times when it is exposed, but I specifically want to name it. Yanning performed well this time." Elder Ye's words made everyone's thoughts active again. People who had doubts about Xiaoxian became even more convinced of their inner thoughts when they heard Yanning being named and praised. Xiaoxian heard this but did not say anything, because he knew that no matter what explanation he made at this time, he would be misunderstood by everyone. It would be best for her to see pharmacist Wang and his affair. Without the support of Sister Yeshu, there is no place for you in this Ye family. If he hadn't met Xiao Yuking, he wouldn't be where he is today. At this moment, a bright yellow figure flew into his heart like an aureole. 1,000-mile horse is common, but a bowl is uncommon. Anything that is not within one's own level of knowledge, or within the field of knowledge, is all deception. No matter what your identity or status is, you will be discussed by countless people. I want to see what he does when he refines the elixir on the spot. Xiaoxian, however, acted as if he had not heard of this, and continued to close his eyes slightly, leaning against the pine tree nearby, like an outsider. There are always some people who have a sense of superiority and feel that they are superior to others. Although he is not as talented as pharmacist Wang in elixirs, he is still a rare alchemist. But he soon realized something was wrong. Living in this life, people have to face too many negative emotions. If they all care about each other, life will be very tiring. The look he looked at Xiaoxian was also a bit provocative. The elders of the Ye family were stunned for a moment by Xiaoxian's eyes. But there are also many people like pharmacist Wang. Just ask Sister Yeshu to see his true face. He yelled subconsciously, and the other party looked at him with a smile on his face and threw himself into his arms. Xiaoxian's cold eyes looked at the elders of the Ye family who were talking endlessly on the table, and his heart remained unchanged. At that moment, he even doubted whether his idea was really wrong. He was able to pass the written test relying on Wang Yaoshi's guidance. Sister Yeshu. It is precisely because of the existence of these people that alchemists gradually become rare. In this world, there are always some people who hate that you are better than them. So he adjusted his state and looked at everyone present. What's more, he doesn't live for others. Having a good face requires a certain amount of talent and unique spiritual roots, this is one of them. In their perception, only what they have seen is real. But even the most innocent person will fall into deep self-blame amid countless verbal criticisms. But he soon denied that he had learned it based on records in ancient books. When the elder of the Ye family said the last words, he even gave Xiaoxian a warning look. After Yanning heard what the elders of the Ye family said, she felt even more proud. Yanning's performance is extraordinary this time. The theory of the written test is not much for you, but you may be able to refine the elixir later. Sometimes, it's not necessarily the visible weapon that kills people. As for some people's attempts to muddle through, it won't be of use here. If I find that small tricks are used, I will report it to the head of the family, and then no matter what your identity is, you will have to pay the price. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 344. It should have been a soft and boneless girl's body, but it was inexplicably firm. When he took a closer look, there was no bright girl. It was clearly a pine tree that had fallen off. When he found the initiator, he was chatting and laughing with Xiaoxian. Yanning knew that Yeshu was reminding him not to do anything to Xiaoxian. But how could he be threatened by a woman? The scene before him stung his eyes. With her shy appearance and bright smile, she doesn't look like a silly boy at all. Although he already knew that Yeshu was pretending to be crazy, he still couldn't accept his kindness to others. In Yanning's heart, Yeshu hated him. That is also his property, even if he just covets beauty. No one is allowed to rob it from him. At this moment, the sovereignty in Yanning's heart was violated. The eyes he looked at Xiaoxian were full of jealousy, and his hateful eyes wanted to cut him into pieces. But he knew that it was useless to deal with Xiaoxian alone. Only by giving him no room to stand up can he be brought down completely. A plan quietly formed in his mind. As the second round of testing approaches, everyone bustled into the testing hall. The entire venue is suspended in the air. A huge picture hangs in the auditorium. It is divided into countless small screens to better supervise everything of the alchemists present. To the greatest extent possible, the alchemists' abnormal actions were prevented. There are also various kinds of natural materials and treasures placed on the test bench. Alchemists can choose suitable materials according to their own needs. This alchemist test competition only has one round. As long as you can refine a 5th grade elixir, you can become a disciple of the instructor present. If you refine a 6th grade elixir, you will be successfully selected as an alchemy teacher in the alchemist's mansion, and will receive a large amount of resource support from the alchemist's mansion. If you can refine a 7th grade elixir, you can become an alchemist mentor and be recognized by the alchemist palace. He is also the candidate who can finally enter the secret realm of the Northern Territory. Elder Yes' speech on the test platform moved the hearts of countless people. However, the selection qualifications for alchemist instructors are very strict. Even alchemists with decades of experience among them may not be able to pass. Therefore, their target was the apprentices of several alchemist instructors present. Okay, the game officially begins. As the elders of the Ye family retired, the alchemists present began to select the needed heavenly materials and earthly treasures. But Xiao Xian didn't seem to be in a hurry, waiting for everyone to finish selecting all the materials. Then he walked onto the stage very leisurely. It looked like being in a vegetable market. Yanning, who was standing next to him, was sneering. Before coming, he had bribed all the alchemists. Let them select all the precious treasures of heaven, materials, and earth. There are only some materials on it that are basically not used. And those materials are all used to refine 7th grade elixirs. He wanted to see how Xiao Xian asked pharmacist Wang to help him on the test bench. On the other hand, Xiao Xian, after seeing these medicinal materials, his face became a little ugly. Why do you have the nerve to say that such a poor medicinal material is rare? The more Xiao Xian looked at it, the less he wanted to participate. It was really a waste of his alchemy furnace. Even the spiritual pets in the family won't eat these medicinal materials. Not to mention using it to refine elixirs, that would be an insult to the alchemy furnace. It seems that the only option is to use their alchemy furnace. Xiao Xian selected for a full quarter of an hour before reluctantly selecting a few suitable ones. In everyone's eyes, this expression shows that he is not pretending to be mysterious. Just when Xiao Xian had just finished selecting the materials for refining the elixir, Yanning was already ready. When he took out the Xian-level alchemy furnace, there was a sigh of relief in the audience. It's actually an earth-level alchemy furnace. As expected of the young master of the Ye family, even the alchemy furnace is so advanced. With the blessing of the earth-level alchemy furnace, the refined elixir has almost no impurities. Yanning was also very satisfied with this vain compliment. Under the shocked gazes of countless people, Yanningdan furnace continued to hear strange phenomena. A strange fragrance wafted over the test bench. As the alchemy furnace was turned on, a slightly dark light faintly emitted. A completely orange elixir appeared in front of everyone. Even the instructors looked at Yanning in shock. It's actually a 6th grade bodybuilding pill. Although it is mixed with a trace of impurities, it is already pretty good for Yanning to be able to open it at his age. Even I couldn't do it back then. I want this boy. The elixir instructor's unstinting evaluation satisfied Yanning's vanity to the greatest extent. For this test, he prepared half a year in advance. Sure enough, his hard work paid off and he successfully refined a 6th grade elixir. Although it was mixed with a trace of impurities, it was enough for him to become a disciple of any one of these mentors. The onlookers in the audience could not help but sigh with emotion. He is indeed a genius, he can even refine 6th grade elixirs. Looking at Xiao Xian again, the materials chosen by him were all the most common ones. Even the alchemy furnace is used by the alchemist mansion. The elders of the Ye family have been paying attention to the scene in front of them and are disgusted by his cautious character. He knew that he could not refine high-grade elixirs. Therefore, he chose to be on the safe side, even if he could no longer refine elixirs. He can also save his face, even with a 1st-grade elixir. But Yanning felt that Xiao Xian was taking advantage of the bet, and although she was unwilling to do so, she had no choice but to do so. Xiao Xian added the herbs to the alchemy furnace one by one according to proportion and time. In just an hour, a strange fragrance wafted out. A shocking scene appeared. Yanning stood at the corner and glared at Xiao Xian fiercely. It's just an inferior thing. A milky white halo floated faintly on the test platform. It belongs to the Ye family even more. But soon, they set their sights on Yanning. Ordinary alchemy furnaces simply cannot withstand the power of 8th grade elixirs. The alchemy furnace exploded. Yanning's eyes widened in disbelief. Even pharmacist Wang showed excited eyes and then rushed over. Today's humiliation will be repaid twice as much. The 8th grade soul renewing pill. It is actually the 8th grade soul renewing pill. There is no impurity at all. But it was quickly cleared by the test bench. But he only saw a back figure. But he knew that this elixir belonged to the elixir house. From pharmacist Wang's shocking voice, we can see how rare this 8th grade soul renewing pill is. All the instructors saw the elixir emitting a milky white halo. But when they saw where the man was, is this still a shoddy thing? Obviously can't believe this is true. Will this young master of the Ye family fulfill his agreement? As soon as this idea came out, everyone felt that their knowledge was about to be refreshed. Pharmacist Wang could not wait to swallow this pill directly into his belly. How is it possible? How can someone be able to refine an 8th grade elixir? This is to prevent anyone from tampering with this. As soon as these words came out, the whole audience was shocked again. A thick black smoke will slowly rise. This is it, all the instructors showed shocked expressions. Xiao Xian had no expression on his face, and then casually threw the pill aside. His mind was shaken, and his horrified eyes were about to leap out and attach themselves to the pill. After all, the bet just now is still there, so everyone wants to take a look. The moment he put the medicinal materials into the alchemy furnace, he knew the final result. Oh my God! Oh my God! How did you do it? No one has refined the 8th grade elixir for many years. But just when everyone was looking forward to it, if she was given better materials, she wouldn't be able to refine a 9th grade elixir. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 345. Xiao Xian naturally noticed Yanning's leaving figure. But it didn't stop him from leaving. This was a small punishment but a big warning. Alchemists are extremely rare in the world, and geniuses like Yanning are even rarer. Not everyone has cheats like him. But this is the first and last time. If there is a next time, he will definitely send him to reincarnation with his own hands. The matter of the elixir tutor has come to an end. Xiao Xian not only became the mentor of the alchemist mansion. He has become a respected figure among the tutors. Therefore, there is a saying circulating in the alchemist mansion. What Xiao Xian knows, you may not know. But what Xiao Xian doesn't know, you definitely don't know. At the same time, a sect that exudes majesty and stands on top of the clouds. At this moment, a monstrous murderous intention suddenly came out. A loud noise came from within the sect. Mountains collapsed in all directions and the ground caved in. All the wild birds and beasts fled in all directions at this moment. Here is Qing Xianzong, one of the 3 major family forces within Xianzong of the Qing dynasty. On top of a towering mountain. At this moment, a strong and terrifying momentum continued to erupt. On top of the mountain sat a white-haired Taoist priest in black robes. If Xiao Xian were here, he would definitely know him. This person is Chen Baxian's biological father, Chen Kang. He was also the patriarch of Xianzong of the Qing dynasty. I broke through Xianxian and came out half a month ago. It was originally a happy event, but suddenly I received the sad news of losing my son. Chen Baxian was his son from old age, and he was a fighting spirit that was rare to see in a century. She was even more pampered by him in just half a month. He unexpectedly died in the hands of an outsider named Xiao Xian. Even Chen Qinglei, the spiritual elder in the sect, died in his hands. All of a sudden, the two most important people in the sect were lost. How could he swallow this bad breath? At this time, a terrifying momentum in the middle stage of Xianxian passed from the sky. Chen Kang took one look at it, his face filled with awe. Then he stepped forward and saluted the man, Supreme Elder. This person is Chen Xian, the elder of Xianzong of the Qing dynasty. Chen Xian looked at Chen Kang's dissatisfied, sad and angry face. Of course I know why he is depressed. If it cannot be relieved at this time, it will become his inner demon. The path of spiritual practice will also stop here. Therefore, this time he left the border early to help Chen Kang settle his worries. I saw him falling slowly, and a breeze blew slowly. I know that you have no intention to practice because of the loss of your son, but you can't touch that Xiaoxian. As soon as these words came out, Chen Kang's expression suddenly changed. The Supreme Elder, I am just a son. I was about to train him to be a talented person, but he suddenly died in vain. If I can't take revenge, how can I be willing to do so? Chen Xian shook his head repeatedly, his eyes full of disapproval. Confused, it doesn't matter if you deal with Xiaoxian, but don't forget the Ye family behind him. However, how could Chen Kang, who was blinded by hatred, know the benefits and risks involved? I will destroy a Ye family, even if it takes the strength of the entire sect. As soon as these words came out, a monstrous momentum swept over him instantly. Chen Xian scolded him coldly, if it was a month ago, it was just a matter of time, but don't forget Ye Jun. Chen Kang was shocked when he heard this. How could he forget that key person? Didn't he fail to break through? Chen Kang asked back. Originally, according to the plan, Yeshu's immortal roots were dug up, and when Ye Jun received the news, he went crazy and died. But after Yeshu was rescued, he rushed to the Weivu mountain cliff to avoid all of this from happening. Now he has broken through the existence of the golden immortal. Chen Xian's words revealed deep regret. We are only half a point away from taking the entire Ye family into our hands. What a pity. When Chen Kang heard this, he had something in mind. Weivu mountain cliff is millions of miles away from the Ye family. Even for me, it would take 3 days to reach it. Chen Xian's words made Chen Kang nod thoughtfully. Revenge must be avenged, but there is no rush now. Perhaps the riots back then were just a cover-up, Chen Xian said, seeming to point out. Even Chen Xian fell into deep thought after saying this. You mean, that's that woman's conspiracy? But Chen Kang originally wanted to say that the space-time totem did not appear, but he soon knew Chen Xian's true intention. If this is the case, it can be explained. It's not that Chen Xian underestimates himself. With Ye Jun's strength, even if they are at the same level, they are still no match for him. I brought a lot of magic weapons given by that woman, among which there must be magic weapons like flying. You mean to wait until Xiaoxian enters the secret realm of the Northern Territory before you start? But didn't the space-time totem disappear with the riot? Then we just don't care. Is this the end of Bassian's death? Back then, the Ye family was highly valued by that person. Even if there were a few magic weapons that didn't belong to us, it wouldn't be an exaggeration. We have to take the lives of Immortal Zhen and Xiaoxian. No matter how long Ye Jun's hands are, he won't be able to reach there. What's more, they are still in a different realm. If they are not fully prepared, they will definitely not confront Ye Jun. The main reason was that woman before she disappeared. Although every time the secret realm of the Northern Territory opens, they search for it. Now Xiaoxian is the savior of the industry. Half a month ago, he became the tutor of the alchemist mansion, and his status is even more noble. At this moment, he has gradually calmed down. Chen Xian looked up to the sky and smiled, this kid can be taught. If he finds the totem of time and space, we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. If he doesn't find it, we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Chen Kang raised his doubts. But then I thought about it, when Yejun came out of the secret realm of the Northern Territory. But he found nothing. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would even suspect that his memory was disordered. Speaking of this, a trace of hatred flashed across Chen Kang's face. Chen Kang spoke angrily and unwillingly, his eyes filled with resentment. No, the riot is real, and the deception is also real. As for the hidden secrets hidden in it, we can only know if we find the time and space totem. Totem of time and space, what that woman left behind. In half a month, the secret realm of the Northern Territory will be opened. That Xiao Xian is here for the time and space totem. It also left a treasure that can travel through another parallel world. After a pause, it's best to put your hands in. Even if we don't have to do anything, someone will naturally deal with him. How could Yeshu, who was just a small great emperor realm cultivator, rush to the scene in a short period of time and prevent all this from happening? What the Supreme Elder means is. The meaning behind Chen Xian's words gave Chen Kang a glimmer of hope. Chen Kang's face was full of shock. They moved out of the secret realm of the Northern Territory back then. As soon as these words came out, Chen Kang couldn't help but shudder. That existence was something he still couldn't imagine. If we go rashly now, no matter what the reason is, we cannot let Yejun hand over Xiaoxian, and we may even die because of it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 346. Xiao Xian is looking for clues about the prehistoric period in the core of Alchemy Mansion. But he was interrupted by Yeshu, who suddenly appeared behind him. The other party trotted towards him with a sweet smile. Today she was wearing an emerald green shirt, and the thin clothes were fluttering in the wind. The jade pendants worn around the waist collided gently, making a pleasant sound. The sun shone on her fair face, and the fine hairs on her face were faintly visible. A cheerful smile like a girl matched the scenery behind her. Xiao Xian was slightly distracted for a moment, but he soon came back to his senses. Is something wrong? The cold voice made the smile on the girl's face freeze slightly. Then she raised her smile again and stood on tiptoes slightly. He folded his hands behind his back and looked at the elixir in front of Xiao Xian with curiosity. I'm here to tell you that the secret realm of the Northern Territory is about to open, so that you can prepare in advance. Then he tilted his head and narrowed his eyes into a beautiful arc. The dimples at the corners of the mouth are so sweet that they can be intoxicating. Xiao Xian turned his head away uncomfortably and turned his back to her. You only need to ask my subordinates to inform you. Why do you need to come in person? Then the cold voice sounded again. The voice behind him did not immediately respond to him, but remained silent for a moment. This time, not only the Ye family entered the secret realm of the Northern Territory, but also the children of the other two major families, as well as cultivators from all over the country. When Xiao Xian turned around, the other party was teasing a spiritual pet at the door. The long eyelashes looked like two butterflies flying. After a pause, the other person looked at him and continued. Last time you offended Qing Xianzong in order to save me. I'm afraid Qing Xianzong won't let you go easily. Outside, they will be afraid of Daddy's strength and dare not do anything to you, but it is different inside the secret realm of the Northern Territory. There is a power in the secret realm of the Northern Territory. Any cultivator who is not designated by him to enter will be attacked if he breaks in forcefully, no matter where he is. This sentence caught Xiao Xian's attention. You actually still have such ability? It seems that there is more to this secret realm in the Northern Territory than meets the eye. So after you enter the secret realm of the Northern Territory, you must be more careful about the people of Qing Xianzong. Yeshu looked serious at this time, with a hint of worry in his expression. It's not that she thinks Xiao Xian is not capable enough. But among the younger generation of Xianzong of the Qing dynasty, there were immortals. This time, except for Xianxian and Jingxian, the secret realm of the Northern Territory is not within range. Spiritual immortals are also among them, but they are not limited to cultivation realm. In other words, even if the opponent is a half-step profound immortal, he can still enter. Xiao Xian also naturally knew the existence of the enemy Xianzong of the Qing dynasty. During these times, he also inquired about the other party and had a general understanding. In Xianzong of the Qing dynasty, there were two Xianxian in charge. The leader of the clan, Chen Kang, and the supreme elder, Chen Xian. Judging from the progress, the supreme elder's cultivation level should have reached the middle stage of Xianxian. There are 4 major close disciples under the seat, and one of them is already in the middle stage of spiritual immortality. The other 2 are also of the cultivation level of heavenly beings. In this exploration of the secret realm in the Northern Territory, they will definitely be there. No wonder Yeshu showed such a look. After entering the secret realm of the Northern Territory, even Yejun could not put his hand deep into it. This time we explore the secret realm of the Northern Territory. Chen Kang will definitely not miss this opportunity to assassinate. It seems it's time to break through. After arriving at the glacier continent, we have been delayed. It's time to try the time-shifting concept I found in the cave last time. Thinking of this, Xiao Xian thanked Yeshu, "Thank you very much." Yeshu looked at him sadly, and then smiled with relief, "It's because of me that you were targeted by Xianzong of the Qing dynasty." When Xiao Xian heard this, he said calmly, "You don't need to take this matter to heart. Even if I don't save you, Qing Xianzong will come to me. The Nuwa stone behind him is a good thing." Xianzong of the Qing dynasty even dared to take things from the human body, let alone a dead object. Then without waiting for Yeshu to respond, he turned around and left. Looking at Xiao Xian's leaving figure, Yeshu smiled bitterly, then looked up at the sky, the sun shining on his face, and there was no trace of emotion. After Xiao Xian returned to the room, so barriers were set up all around to prevent outsiders from intruding. Then he took out the hourglass, but he did not leave it outside. Instead, they were taken into the cave they found in the cave together. As soon as you step in, you can feel a strong spiritual energy rushing towards your face. Xiao Xian placed the hourglass on the stone table, but at this moment it seemed that some kind of mechanism had been triggered. The scene in front of me suddenly changed rapidly. The originally gentle cave became turbulent in an instant. A figure slowly appeared in front of him. "You're here," a sad voice entered my eardrums. Xiao Xian was shocked and looked up. A figure dressed in red stood resolutely in the wind and rain. The red clothes are stirring and the ink hair is flying. The rain hit my cheeks, and I couldn't tell whether they were tears or rain. At this moment, she was like a bright flame in the darkness. "I love you more than I love myself, so how can I let you take risks alone when I know the outcome?" The woman in front of her was wearing a fluttering red dress, and her beautiful face showed a firm and decisive look. Wang Shu looked at him calmly, his face full of reluctance, his eyes filled with deep love. However, he only caught a shadow. Everything in front of him was as if he had already experienced it. Everything is back to how it was before. "I know you won't agree, but I can't just watch you do stupid things." A roar suddenly burst out from his mouth. "Wang Shu, I don't agree with you doing this." A bad thought came to mind, she has to face it alone. He stepped forward quickly, trying to hold the person in front of him tightly. It not only illuminated Xiao Xian's eyes, but also burned his heart. "No. I said absolutely not." With his touch, Wang Shu's figure in front of him gradually became ethereal. Looking at the scene in front of him, Xiao Xian's heartbeat accelerated. "Everything can be done again, except you." Xiao Xian stepped forward angrily, and a strong idea came together in his mind to tell him. At that moment, Xiao Suingzin was completely panicked. Xiao Xian's heart could no longer be calm. Xiao Xian roared angrily. In an instant, the wind and rain stopped and the strong wind disappeared. He hated that he wasn't strong enough and couldn't protect the people in front of him. He had never been so helpless as he was now, and he had never hated himself so much. Can't. The woman in red in front of her slowly raised her head. The wind and rain are getting stronger and stronger, like a tight string that is about to break at any time. Full of anger continued to burn in his chest. Wang Shu looked at him with tears in his eyes. The star-like eyes were filled with tears and looked fragmented. Then her voice sounded slowly. Swaying in the wind, it seems as if it will disappear from heaven and earth in the next moment. Wang Shu must be stopped, otherwise the consequences will be unbearable for him. Xiao Xian's heart clenched tightly and his breathing became rapid. Even if the world is restarted, I will never let you go alone. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 347. Xian, come back soon, I will always be waiting for you. There was a hint of love in Xiao Xian's eyes. I don't know when my cheeks started to rise, and they were filled with tears. His body involuntarily stepped forward, wanting to hold the person in front of him tightly in his arms. The hands stretched out into the air seemed to be blocked by an invisible barrier. He was afraid that he could no longer move forward. He was afraid that his touch would make Wang Shu disappear completely. Even if the scene in front of you is just a projection of a shadow. In Xiao Xian's dull eyes, Wang Shu's figure completely disappeared from his eyes. At this moment, Xiao Xian's heart seemed to be torn apart by a pair of invisible hands. The pain was so painful that he couldn't breathe, and the veins on his body were bulging. The blood vessels on his forehead seemed ready to burst at any moment. He clutched his chest and knelt on one knee, feeling the excruciating pain spreading throughout his limbs. Wang Shu! Wang Shu! A desperate voice came from behind. A man in mysterious clothes ran forward desperately. Trying to catch the disappearing figure, a wisp of fragrance dispersed from his fingertips. The man covered his face helplessly, his desperate wailing echoing throughout the valley. Why are you so stupid? He looked at Wang Shu's disappearing figure with a sad face. The grief-stricken look touched Xiao Xian's heart. The moment the man raised his head, Xiao Xian was completely shocked. This person turned out to be himself. At this moment, Xiao Xian realized that this was where he and Wang Shu lived. No wonder he stepped into this place. I felt a strange emotion. Because this is his and Wang Shu's home. At this moment, Xiao Xian in front of him looked at the sky with a look of sorrow and anger. God! Why can't you wait for me a little longer? I have developed a magic weapon that can protect you. As long as you stay here, you will not be affected by anything. Even if the world returns to zero and restarts, I can see you again, but why are you so stupid? Wang Shu, if something happens to you, what will I use as the faith to live on? Xiao Xian was devastated, and his body exuded an aura of chaos and Taoism. The two terrifying auras mixed together, causing the entire cave to tremble tremendously. Then he slowly stood up and looked at everything in front of him. There was a look of determination in his eyes. I saw him waving his big hand, and the place in front of me was originally chaotic and invisible. Instantly transformed into a paradise. The spiritual energy here is extremely abundant, the birds are singing and the flowers are fragrant, and the scene of Ning River is beautiful. It turns out that this is an illusion created by him. Xiao Xian murmured to himself. The first time I saw Wang Shu in the secret realm, it was like his heart was touched. He thought Wang Shu was just a passerby in his previous life. But they didn't realize that they were both existences capable of sacrificing their lives for each other. The figure of Xiaoxian came to a cave. Countless mechanisms are set up here, and the results of each mechanism are unexpected. Looking at the hourglass in his hand, he smiled bitterly. I thought that by creating the concept of time shifting, I could escape the detection of the eye of heaven, allowing you to escape this immeasurable catastrophe. In the end, you still can't escape destiny. Destiny? Ha! It's just a fake heaven who needs to rely on others to resist calamity. Since you are unkind, don't blame me for being unjust. God. I can still trample you under my feet. In this life, I will fight against the sky, the earth, and all the injustices in the world. Since you won't let me live, then I will trample you under my feet and achieve an existence above the heaven. As long as my soul is immortal and my body is not destroyed, I will not disappear. Xiaoxian pointed at the sky angrily and scolded sternly. Arrogant but full of decisive voice, it completely shocked people's hearts. Tiandao seemed to feel something, and was actually shocked by this majestic momentum. In the middle of the sky, the dark clouds dispersed, and the sun shone on the earth, dispelling all darkness. Xiaoxian looked at the scene in front of him and couldn't speak for a long time. What burned with the shout of Xiaoxian was the desire in his heart. It was the anger that had been suppressed in my heart for a long time. Xiaoxian placed the hourglass in his hand in the center of the cave. His eyes were lonely. If you can come here, it means that I died in this war. And you have been targeted by them in this life. If you want to know everything, you have to break through the mystery in the womb. Only in this way can you save her. In this life, I was too conceited, which caused everything to happen. I hope you can rise again in the next life. Don't forget everything. When Xiaoxian said this, a trace of sadness appeared on his face. The appearance of the illusion allowed his memory to recover a little. Why? In order to save Wangshu, he left the hourglass here. In order not to implicate Wangshu, he used montage techniques to deceive Tiandao. I regret imprisoning Wangshu, and even more regret doing all this. It can ensure Wangshu's safety and not be protected from the prying eyes of heaven. This was the only tender moment between him and Wangshu. How could he let it go? The moment he entered the valley, he was triggered. He even did not hesitate to use the entire prehistoric world as a battlefield just to exhaust his last bit of spiritual power. But he was very careful to control his momentum. The aura on his body even exploded, like a sun star exploding in the universe. This would not only avoid the immeasurable calamity, but also prevent her life from being threatened. At this moment, he had recovered a trace of his memories from the prehistoric period, thus creating the concept of time shifting and creating space within it. Xiaoxian knew that this was just a trace of resentment that he did not dare to have before dying in his previous life. Think back to this point. But what puzzled him was that he had not placed the ice and fire polar eyes in it. But despite all his calculations, he ignored the source of those people's magic power. Xiaoxian suddenly thought of something, and then placed the hourglass on the wooden box. And he left a piece of comfortable clothes to ensure that when his life was in danger. Not only did he lure Wangshu out, he even imprisoned her inside. Xiaoxian's eyes burned with overwhelming anger. As Xiaoxian disappeared, the entire valley became angry. Do not harm any plants or trees here. And left a sentence, hey. I knew you would do this. Regret. No, if he had to choose again, he would choose to do it again without hesitation. In that look, there was reluctance, resentment, and a hint of regret. Suddenly, his eyes were filled with horror, and a hint of disbelief was revealed. Then, Xiaoxian looked at him. A trace of hatred flashed in his eyes. After everything is settled. Back then, he was completely cornered by those people. Xiaoxian, who came out of the illusion, was already dripping with sweat. Xiaoxian smiled coldly, no regrets? No. I will make them regret endlessly. Recalling the past life after I left, there was a flash of no regrets in my eyes. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 348. The two polar eyes of ice and fire appeared some time before he came to the cave. However, due to the change of concept, he could not determine the specific time. But one thing is for sure, Wang Shu has been here. Thinking of this possibility, Xiao Xian's heart surged. Then she went to the Eye of Ice and Fire, trying to find traces of her life here. After looking around for a week, the hope that vaguely rose in Xiao Xian's heart disappeared in an instant. The little memories he regained gave him a rough idea of the hatred from his previous life. I also know that if I want to face those people, I must become strong. Therefore, I entered seclusion practice without any nonsense. With the concept of time shifting, Xiao Xian can practice here with confidence. And with the help of the ability of the ice and fire polar eyes, he can speed up his improvement. On this day, a terrifying aura instantly rushed into the sky. The boundless power of chaos enveloped the entire cave. The terrifying aura of the avenue is like a pair of big palms. Blessed by two terrifying auras, an unexplored circle was formed. As Xiao Xian slowly opened his eyes, a sharp and terrifying sword light burst out from it. In an instant, a huge wave of energy swept across the surrounding area. From a distance, it looks like a planet that has collapsed in the universe. The middle stage of the heavenly immortal stage. After 200,000 years of cultivation, coupled with the help of the polar eyes of ice and fire, his cultivation realm broke through to the middle stage of immortality. Feeling the changes on his body, Xiao Xian smiled with satisfaction. Even against a half-step Xianxian disciple of Xianzong of the Qing dynasty, he could still defeat him. You can ensure that the time and space totem will fall into your hands. After coming out of the cave, I realized that only 20 days had passed in the outside world. The horror of his own strength in his previous life was even more shocking in his heart. Even at this moment, he is less than 1/10. If you want to fight against those, you must seize the time to break through. Only in this way can we have a chance of winning. The secret realm of the Northern Territory also opens at this time. On this day, members of the three major families all gathered at the entrance to the secret realm of the Northern Territory. And the elders of their respective families distributed life-saving spiritual stones. Because there will be cultivators of different realms when entering the secret realm of the Northern Territory. It is extremely dangerous to enter the secret realm. Even in the safe areas of the outside world, there will be high-level monsters. Therefore, the major families are making sure not to touch the powerful power inside. He was also able to rescue his own people. A life-saving spirit stone was created, which can be crushed when life is in danger. The elders who are guarding the outside world will receive the news. Rescue them as soon as possible. This also greatly reduced the losses of the talented children of major families. Xiao Xian listened calmly as Yeshu explained the rules to him. Then, under the guidance of Elder Ye, he entered the secret realm of the Northern Territory. Behind them, a sinister look was staring at the departing figure. This person is Yanning. Since the last time I applied for an alchemist job, he became a laughing stock. Although he did not destroy his alchemy roots, he could not enter the alchemist's mansion again. Even his father cursed him after learning all this. If it hadn't been for the opening of the Northern Territory secret realm, I'm afraid he wouldn't even be able to get out. Xiao Xian, for the humiliation of that day, if I can't let you die today, I won't be able to vent my feelings. This time I came to the secret realm of the Northern Territory. He has found a leader of Xianzong of the Qing dynasty and reached a deal with him. He handed over Yeshu's immortal roots and they helped him massacre Xiao Xian and seize all the treasures in the secret realm of the Northern Territory. By then, he would like to see how Xiao Xian still bounces around. Yeshu, after leaving Yejun, Do you really think you are still the rich lady? After the secret realm of the Northern Territory, there will be no more Yeshu in the world. No matter how powerful your father is, there is nothing he can do to me. Then he snorted coldly and walked in another direction. At the same time, the moment Yeshu entered the secret realm of the Northern Territory, she felt a strong force attracting her and guide her to find it. Why do you feel this way? Yeshu covered his chest and muttered to himself in confusion. Xiaoxian, who was on the side, naturally noticed something strange about her. What's wrong? Seeing his cold eyes looking at her, something strange flashed in Yeshu's heart. Then he confessed to him, I can feel the totem of time and space guiding me forward. Xiaoxian raised his eyebrows when he heard this. Can you feel the general direction? Yeshu tried to feel the general direction, and sure enough he found it. So I used a stick to draw a rough topographic map on the ground and circle their destination. If you are looking for death, I won't stop you, but don't drag me down. The essence, blood, and flesh of the monster beast are all treasures. Scale armor can be used to make armor. If the inner elixir can be found, it can also help with breakthroughs in cultivation. As Yeshu spoke, he marked the approximate location. This is also why monks from the outside world come here every year when the secret realm of the Northern Territory opens. As soon as these words came out, even Xiaoxian frowned. It is an excellent hunting area for high-level cultivators. Xiaoxian roughly wrote down these directions. Devour the souls of intruders and refine them into their own puppets. Xiaoxian spoke indifferently, only to find that Yeshu had already destroyed the patterns on the ground. It's like a robot suddenly has a mind. This is a guarantee they cannot get in other secret realms. Monsters with intelligence turned on are even more terrifying. Its combat power is even more unstoppable to cultivators of the same level. Before the other party could speak, Xiaoxian had already turned around and left. The northern secret realm belongs to a huge forest, divided into 3 sections. The second section is inhabited by monsters with the title of Great Emperor or above, which is also where we want to go. The main reasons for choosing to join the 3 major families. The monster that breaks through the quasi-immortal has the ability to transform. Yeshu destroyed the terrain map in front of him. On the 3rd level, Xiaoxian slowly retracted his exploratory eyes. The outermost area belongs to the plains, so nothing life-threatening happens. Then he looked at Yeshu. Is there more? The 2nd level is surrounded by mountains and various rare and exotic animals. The monsters on the 3rd level have the lowest cultivation level and are also earth immortals. Give me the terrain map and I'll go there myself. The 3rd section is the area where we once lived, but now it has been occupied by high-level monsters. If you are in danger, you can crush the spirit stone to save your life. Even my father dare not go there easily, and the location of the space-time totem is at the junction of the 2nd plate and the 3rd plate. Then he looked at Xiaoxian seriously. There is a Xianxian monster sitting there, and it has activated its spiritual wisdom. The 1st section belongs to where we are now, and it is also the area where cultivators with lower cultivation levels look for treasures. If you are more powerful, you can even use illusions. Flesh and blood can be eaten, and if it is a high-level monster, even its sinews can be forged into weapons. Even if Yejun entered it, he would not dare to move forward rashly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 349. Yeshu took a deep breath. When she told the location of the space-time totem, he guessed that Xiaoxian would definitely go alone. Hence the creation of signs of unintentional destruction. Then she quickly followed. There is a valley directly ahead, and you are halfway there if you cross it. but on the way we may meet people from Xianzong of the Qing dynasty. That area belongs to the junction of the first plate and the second plate. And there are high-level monsters lurking there, so we can choose to start from the small path. Yeshu stood on the right side of Xiaoxian. There is an extremely secluded path behind him. Although overgrown with weeds, there is no danger. Now he has just broken through the middle stage of Tianxian, although his strength has improved. The combat effectiveness has also become more terrifying. But this time, the exploration of the secret realm of the Northern Territory is not as simple as it seems on the surface. There are countless strong men hiding in the dark. If he were in Zushan continent, he wouldn't have to worry about anyone. But the glacier continent is different. The spiritual energy that Jazuyupi can mobilize is only a small part. If used forcefully, the family will also suffer backlash. Therefore, he needs to preserve enough strength. As a last resort, if you can develop in a wretched manner, then grow in a wretched way. In addition, there are too many unknown factors in the secret realm of the Northern Territory. Exposing his trump card in advance is not a good thing for him. The existence of the space-time totem attracts a group of enemies hiding in the dark. Xianzong of the Qing dynasty is one of them. If those people don't take action, they are just waiting to reap the benefits. Especially the monster sitting there. Even more so, he had to work hard to fight against a monster with intelligence. He didn't have much confidence. So before that, he had to prepare a strategy to deal with it. It's best to be able to kill him with one blow at a critical moment. But before that, he needs to resolve all hidden dangers. This must be a fierce battle. The two crossed the path and soon reached the halfway point of the valley. At the same time, fierce fighting also broke out at the foot of the mountain. Several children of the Lu family, a family of formations, were trapped here by the people brought by Yanning. Lu Hu was seriously injured, and his armor was also damaged in this battle. Behind him were a woman and two men. One of them looks handsome, but his eyes are cloudy, as if he is stupid. Lu Wan, I will restrain him later, and you can escape with Lu Yangs and Lu Tong. We have people in the west. As long as we find them, we can contact the elders outside and rescue you. Lu Hu struggled to get up from the ground. He looked at Yanning, who was standing on the opposite side with a suggestive look. The angular face showed determination to fight. The spiritual stones of the four of them were taken away by Yanning, and the other party had two titled emperors here. Even if they set up a formation, it would only delay them for a moment. When Lu Wan heard this, she shook her head in disapproval, and then pulled out the sword at her waist. No, as your senior sister, I have the obligation to protect your safety. Lu Tong, who was behind him, also took a step forward, even though his hands were shaking. But he never gave up on the people in front of him. I'm with you, as long as we delay, someone will always come to save us. However, these words made Yanning sneer across from him. Save you? Who do you think will save you? Xianzong of the Qing dynasty and the Ye family have joined forces. Who dares to offend a family of formations that is inferior to even a small sect? What's more, we still have these two cultivators with the title of Great Emperor here, who dares to save them? Yanning's arrogant look made Lu Hu and others grit their teeth. But he couldn't do anything to him. Yanning, you'd better not let this matter get out, otherwise you won't be able to live without it. Hearing this, Yanning looked up to the sky and laughed as if he had heard some funny joke. Looking at him with a sinister look on his face. Really? Now that Ye Jun, the head of the Ye family, has broken through to the Golden Immortal, he cannot kill anyone other than the Delugo Golden Immortal. Do you think the Lu family will risk the safety of the entire clan to avenge you for the sake of a few dead people? As soon as this statement came out, Lu Hu's face froze instantly. Even Lu Wan and Lu Tong behind them became solemn. They knew what Yanning meant. No family is willing to offend a family that is more powerful than themselves for a few dead people. Then they turned their attention to Liu Yang's behind them. The other party had no idea what was happening. Looking around, when I noticed the gazes of several people. Then he lowered his head in embarrassment. The hope in several people's hearts was extinguished in an instant. If he were a normal person, the clan leader might avenge them. But he is just an idiot with a mind of only 5 or 6 years old. Seeing this, Yanning laughed even more wantonly. Is it possible that you still want to point at him to avenge you? What a fantastic idea! Then he no longer hesitated and directly gave the order to the person behind him, do it. When the two people saw this, a trace of almost invisible disgust flashed in their eyes. If it weren't for the order of the sect leader, you can't do anything to him until you get the treasure. They have already killed the person in front of them at this moment. At this time, a ray of light fell from the sky. The Qingxianzong disciples behind him obviously didn't expect Yanning to massacre even his compatriots. Not only had he regained his cultivation level, but his elixir roots were also incomparable to those before. But if one more member of the Ye family dies, they will have one more chance to annex the Ye family. Oh, yes, maybe the scene at that time was not profound enough and you want to experience it again. It means irreversible. Seeing this, he couldn't help but smile coldly. Then he exploded with power towards several people. Kill this Ye Hong too. Therefore, he left home for 5 years, and the hardships of these 5 years made his character tougher. But he found that the person standing in front of him was Ye Hong. Just when Yanning panicked. And this time, the secret realm of the Northern Territory is even more important for his future practice. But he knew that he had to keep a low profile and bide his time. He would never forget what happened back then even if he died. Then he looked at Yanning, who had a wanton expression on his face, and a faint aura of terror erupted from his body. The person in front of you must not be left alone. How to abolish one's own cultivation. Just a moment. When Yanning felt the killing intent, a chill suddenly came over him. During those 3 years, his life was worse than death, and he wished he could cut Yanning into pieces with 1,000 cuts and eat him alive. Then he rearranged the formation and successfully blocked several people from the formation. The terrifying power swept across everything in an instant. How he dug out his own roots. The brief incident gave Lu Hu and others some time to breathe. As soon as the statement came out, a trace of hatred flashed in his eyes. Yanning's voice made Ye Hong's body tremble. Ye Hong's face instantly turned gloomy. Otherwise, he must be the one who dies. Why not? Let him spend 3 whole years in a state of confusion. It's also the perfect opportunity for him to get revenge. The sudden scene left several people at a loss. A loser wants to be a hero? Have you forgotten how you begged for mercy at the feet of this young master? Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 350. Ye Hong's cold eyes narrowed slightly, and the short knife in his hand instantly turned into a huge axe that reached the sky. With the breakthrough of his cultivation to the realm of the titled Great Emperor, a boundless power of terror swept over him instantly. Above the sky, the boundless power brought by the giant axe swept across the sky. The expressions of everyone present changed drastically. Yanning's face was even more horrified. She never imagined that Ye Hong had such terrifying strength. The two powerful titled emperors saw this. His expression was serious and his brows were furrowed. Obviously, he didn't expect Ye Hong to be so powerful. But they didn't think Ye Hong had the ability to kill them. They looked at each other and then decisively attacked Ye Hong. Seeing this, Ye Hong was extremely indifferent. The experience of the past few years has given him the terrifying combat ability to leapfrog challenges. In the realm of the titled emperor, no one can rival him. Retreat and drag the knife. In an instant, storms and clouds arose, and the heaven and earth changed. A giant axe condensed above the sky. Covering the sky and the sun, it is majestic. Countless spiritual powers gathered on the giant axe. It swept over instantly with an overwhelming and terrifying momentum. One move landed. The bodies of the two titled emperors fell to the ground. Yanning was so frightened by the scene that she couldn't speak for a long time. He rolled and crawled and ran away behind him. Just when everyone thought the crisis was over. How dare you kill my Qing Xianzong disciple? You are seeking death. A terrifying aura instantly suppressed everyone. A figure in black appeared in front of them. Quasi-immortal. Everyone was horrified. Even Yehong showed a hint of nervousness. Although he has the strength to kill cultivators of the same level. But he couldn't fight against the quasi-immortal. One finger of the quasi-immortal is enough to make him disappear into ashes. He has no chance of winning against a quasi-immortal. But it is indeed possible to earn your life from his hands. But the few people behind him were not within his life-saving range. Yeshu, who had been halfway up the valley, couldn't hold it any longer. No, I have to save them. However, Xiao Xian had an indifferent attitude as if it had nothing to do with him. You can't even defeat Yehong, a titled emperor, you. Or are you saying that your level of emperor is more powerful than the titled emperor? As soon as these words came out, Yehong showed a trace of embarrassment on his face. But she refuted Xiao Xian without hesitation. My strength is indeed not as good as theirs, and I may even risk my own life because of it. But Yehong is a member of my clan, and I will save him from danger no matter what. Since I can't be strong frontally, I can compete with him secretly. As long as I escape now, he can't do anything to us. Yeshu's righteous expression made Xiao Xian choke. It reminds me of the scene when Xiao Tianyun and others encountered danger. Then he sneered. The idea is good, but the reality is cold. Do you think you can stop a quasi-immortal with the formations of those young boys? Let alone a quasi-immortal, even a more powerful emperor can't guard against it. If you can't change the southeast and northwest directions into a killing move, then combine it with the attack ability in the formation. Let alone one of you, 10 of you won't be enough to die. Of course, if you want to sacrifice, just pretend I didn't say anything. Then he turned and left. Yeshu was overjoyed when he heard this, and then went straight down without paying attention to Xiao Xian. With Xiao Xian's character, he would never lend a helping hand to her. She knew this. But if she could make him feel pity, she would still be a little sure. After my father's last breakthrough, she had already guessed that Xiao Xian was an extremely protective person. But only those he wants to protect. Judging from the various behaviors of pharmacist Wang, the only people he wants to protect are his own people. That's why he just said that he wanted to protect his tribe. Fortunately, she made the right bet. Under the guidance of Xiao Xian, Yeshukian found a hidden location. Then he used a secret message to contact Yehong. Yehong, I need you to delay him for half a quarter of an hour to buy time for me. After receiving the news, Yehong then changed the formation. Yeshu's figure was naturally discovered by the quasi-immortal. But she was not afraid, but took advantage of the fatal point that the strong looked down on the weak. The formation was reversed and the defensive capabilities were strengthened. At the moment when Yehong was about to be beheaded, she shouted to him, now. At this moment, Yehong's figure quickly retreated to hide in the formation. The quasi-immortal came over with a mocking look on his face. Obviously he doesn't like their formation. With your formation, can you kill me? You are overestimating your capabilities. Yeshu smiled and said, so we are not the ones who killed you. The quasi-immortal was horrified when he heard this. This soul renewable pill can repair the damage to your soul. If you don't want it, and he does need the soul renewal pill to repair the damage to his soul. While adjusting the formation, he discovered the figure of a quasi-immortal monster. When Lu Hu heard this, he shook his head and looked at Lu Yang's behind him. I saw a giant eagle galloping quickly above the sky. Then he took the lead to leave without waiting for anyone to react. Yeshu waved his hand, I don't want to save you, so just thank Ye Hong. Several people then hurriedly came forward to kowtow and salute, thank you Miss Ye family and young Master Ye family for saving your life. Ye Hong's body was now covered in bruises and it was impossible to move alone. Lu Hu and others on the side looked at the soul-renewing pill with great envy. The crisis was over, and Lu Hu and others breathed a sigh of relief. Since Yeshu is willing to give him such a precious elixir, I'm going to the Emerald Valley and say goodbye. But Yeshu didn't care. For her, it was just a piece of cake. The joy of surviving the disaster surrounded them. The Emerald Valley is an exploration area for cultivators above the realm of the titled Emperor. Thank you. It proves that she has something better than this elixir. So she asked Ye Hong to change her attack method, which attracted the giant eagle. I will return it to you in the future. The injuries you suffered are probably more than what they appear to be. Now that our strength has been greatly reduced, and there are no spiritual stones to leave, we might as well take a gamble. Before the quasi-mortal could react, he was already swallowed into his belly. But no matter how jealous they are, they still know that this thing does not belong to them. I have never been more grateful to be alive than I am now. Seeing the disappearing quasi-mortal, Yeshu breathed a sigh of relief. But if you want to attract its attention, you must have extremely powerful blood essence as a guide. Lu Wan's face was full of worry and she was obviously unwilling to take risks. I have long heard that there is an 8th grade soul renewing pill in the alchemy master's mansion. Then he gave Ye Hong an 8th grade soul renewing pill. Instead of putting yourself in a dangerous situation, it is better to follow Yeshu. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be true. But she didn't know that Ye Hong's words almost cost his life. Before Yeshu finished speaking, the pill in his hand was taken away by Ye Hong and then swallowed. Lu Hu and others looked at their current state.